Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Michelle, and today we have Cody on the show, who has just listed his business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Cody, good to have you on the show. How are you today?
Thanks for having me. Doing fantastic.
Well, I really want to thank you for making the time to come on today. I know you've got a lot to do, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about your business. But before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of it. So it's an Amazon FBA business in the pet care and home niches created in May 2017. The average revenue for the business is $36,856 per month, and it makes an average of $7,511 per month in net profit. So included in this sale is an Amazon Seller Central account with 18 SKUs, supplier relationships, a Facebook account, and a trademark. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 59156 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that we've gone over the business, let's learn a little bit more about the seller. So Cody, could you give us a little bit more information about your background in starting and running online businesses?
Well, I'm actually a chiropractor. I built and ran a chiropractic office for 15 years and sold that. And in that, I actually started, I learned how to run a business. Most doctors don't know how to run a business. So I spend over $400,000 with business training. So they're very different businesses. So when I sold that, getting into Amazon was a completely different thing. And I love the challenge of learning how to sell online. I wanted to really jump into that space because that's where the world is going. And going from a service business, which I'm a marketing sales kind of person, to something like this, like I said, quite a bit of challenge. So I spent probably 6 months and maybe 12-hour days figuring out how to sell online. But from the business organization side of things, everything lapped over. It was exactly the same. So I even hired employees to help me build it. I had employee contracts. Right now I have no employees. I had one person to help me build this one rock star employee. So that's my background with it. I've been a part of probably many types of trainings that people know of. Ben Cummins, Ryan Moran. I mean, all kinds of Amazon business trainings. But I think that's the coolest thing is this business is so organized because I knew how to organize a business prior. And that's what happens, I think, with most business owners, even in this business. You think you're creating something that's hands off, but you start getting so busy that you don't have time for yourself. And so this business was created to have time for myself and be almost passive. So that's kind of the history of why I created this and where it came from.
Well, I can definitely see how some of those skills would transfer over, like knowing how to run a business, for example. But I'm really curious. So what attracted you to the Amazon FBA model? What about it made you think, oh, I'm going to leave my former life behind and do Amazon FBA?
Well, I was seeing 325 patients a week, and we had, people healing from everything from breast cancers and sickle cell anemia and all kinds of stuff, digestive issues. And like I said, I did it for 15 years. I had 6 employees, and one of those employees was a doctor. And so, I had freedom, but the challenge is when you have that many employees, you don't really have freedom. And even with having a manager. So this was the exact dream that I had. Every time I'd go on vacation, I'd have to still deal with issues in the business, the chiropractic office. So I wanted to be able to have a business that I could run from a cliffside hotel in Italy. I live in Colorado, or, have from an awesome fireside campsite in the Rocky Mountains. So that was the vision. So I made tons of money in the chiropractic office, helped tons of people. But as probably if someone's listening to this, as people know, like once you reach a goal, that's sometimes some of the most dangerous time in your life because you've actually reached your goal, unless you set another one. And so I'm very aware of that. And so that's where that came from, was to actually, okay, I've got money, but I'd love to have money and time. And so that's how this business, was formed.
That's really interesting. I love that. So what attracted you to this niche specifically? How did you choose, to go into selling these products that you're selling now?
Yeah, I'll be very honest with you. An interesting piece of this, the chiropractic world is a very passion driven. I mean, I taught seminars, I taught chiropractic. So it's a business driven by passion and truly caring about what you do. When I got into the Amazon space, my first product, I really cared about it. And that's a big problem. If you care about the stuff you sell before you start selling it, you'll get crushed in this business. And that sounds a little harsh, but the product I had, it was water. It had water and it had batteries. And it was very sexy, super sexy. But by the time I got it to market, it was 6 months later because I spent so much time because I loved it so much. I learned a big lesson in that before I fall in love with the product, let me see if it's profitable. I had never really had that thought before. Once I saw that, I said, you know what? I want to actually fall in love with stuff after I see it selling. So I made a mental flip in that. So the products that I sell are not because of any reason you would think. It's not because I'm so passionate about pets and I love dogs and whatever it is, right? It's not that. It's that I launched over 60 products and I learned in those launches to detach from loving something until it made me money. And I did small test batches of products. Once something started making me money, then it was like, maybe I'll start liking you. Then once something became profitable, then I said, now I'll love you. And so the products are exactly because of that. It's because they, in fact, bring me profit. And one other big thing I want to say about this is the first product I had that was 6 months in development, it was so sexy. The packaging was awesome. I learned something really big. The customer service rate was very high, meaning it had water. So when people would put it on their furniture and it leaked, I would get complaints and I'd get bad reviews about it. Then I would get problems because it was electrical. It had batteries. So when batteries would die, people would complain about that. So I said, oh, okay. Not only do I want to wait till you make me money to fall in love with you, I also want to make sure that you don't provide a lot of pain in the ass energy for me. So that's the model I use. It made me money. It's profitable and it's very little customer service. So I literally get 0 messages per month on 18 products, no customer service, no complaints. And that is why I picked these. It's not because, like I said, of any other kind of passion driven reason. This business is purely, hey, you want to make money and have freedom and not be dealing with problems. That's where it came from.
Well, it sounds like you stumbled across just the perfect types of products for that. I wanted to ask, because I know that you have a dedicated domain and all of that is currently being redirected to your Amazon listings.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any point in time where you thought that you would expand off Amazon, or did you just think, oh no, that would be too much of my time?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was going to mention something too. I didn't stumble upon these products. I went to China 3 times and just tested stuff. And so remember, I launched 60 products. So I went through a lot of trial and error to find these products. So it wasn't because I was so magically lucky, is from trial and error. I just want to say that. But as far as launching in other spaces, again, I evaluate the time and energy that it takes to do something. I considered other sites like Shopify because yes, it would increase profit. But when I looked into other friends doing it, there was a way more customer service and way more stuff. And like I said, I learned a lesson in my life. If you have money, a lot of money, but no time, that money really has less value. And so I evaluate things on what I call a freedom matrix from 1 to 10. 1 is a very low freedom and 10 is a high level of freedom. So I saw Shopify and those things requiring more of my time. The thing I would consider and have not done if someone was considering buying this, a very easy thing to do to double or most likely triple the income on this would be to launch the exact same products in Canada and Mexico. So I did look into that. As Amazon handles, although they charge you to do it, but they handle all the issues. Like you said, the FBA model is so amazing. Like I don't send stuff to customers. I don't talk to customers. Like we just don't deal with any of that. And to me, that's worth it. So I would stay on Amazon platform and launch in Mexico and Canada. And I wouldn't do for right now, just being in America. The European markets, I have a lot of friends who've tried it, are a bit more costly and not as profitable. So
That's an interesting perspective. So I'm curious, because you've spent a good couple of years kind of building this up. You've had, failures, successes. Why have you decided to sell the business now?
good question. So I'll say this is kind of interesting. In 2019, I became a very healthy person. In Colorado, we have a lot of health nuts here. I became very ill. I got Lyme disease as a bacterial poisoning, and black mold entered my system. And so I spent 6 months in bed. I was sick for a year and a half. And if anyone's ever experienced, I'm not talking about a 2-week cold. I literally was in bed for 6 months. I couldn't walk. I lost cognitive function as the bacteria entered my brain, and I could not spell my name. This business literally ran without me I couldn't get on the computer for a year and a half. I had my one full-time employee. I told her, I'm so sick, I can't even spell my name. So she ran this business and it funded my lifestyle. So I am emotionally attached to this because it was able to do that. Since 2019, I've come out of this and I've now opened up a coaching business for other business owners. And so that's taken off and I've gotten really busy doing that. I've been doing this for a few years. And so I haven't really needed to sell this. But now that I'm getting busier and busier, and I'm going to be bringing more people on to actually work with me on this and train others, it's time to release this to someone else that would like a virtually passive income business that gives you time and money.
Wow, that is quite the story. I know Lyme disease is no joke.
Yeah.
I had a friend whose son got it. He was young, 12, and it really knocked him down. I'm so glad to hear that you're much better now.
Yeah, Michelle, most people don't get out of it. I mean, really, I knew people that have had it for 10 years. They lose their relationships, they lose their career. And if they're kids, they lose their college opportunity. And it's not something that medical doctors even have a treatment for. So it's a whole nother thing that I figured out. I have zero issues at all, but it wasn't due to a doctor finding, the cause of my stuff. It was due to me actually going inside and figure out what's going on and having a lot of natural healthcare help. So anyway.
Well, that is unbelievable though. Like I said, I'm so glad that you've managed to make a full recovery from that because it is intense. Well, that's probably your biggest win since you've started this business. But aside from that, I know you've got your coaching business on the side now, but if you were to start another online business, what would you say was your biggest win from this business that you would take to another one?
I was going to say something that popped in my mind that I wanted to tell you. And
yeah, absolutely.
I spend 8 hours a week on this Amazon business. So I just want to say something because when you look at Amazon businesses and they're selling $1 million a year, you're making this much. You want to evaluate, and this is in my book because I've ran multiple businesses, how much time that business takes you. Because again, like I said, there's very low profitability in a lot of the businesses and there's very low freedom factor. So this business takes me 8 hours a week. I spend Monday, I do 8 hours, and the rest of the week is open. That's why I've been able to do other things. So to answer your question, the biggest win, things are going to happen. Having a business that can virtually run itself, oh my God, I'm so grateful for that. Taking that, what I know now, into a new business, I would, number one, definitely launch products and find products that have very little customer service. That's why I was able to have my business run itself. I would also make sure that I don't fall in love with products before they tell me that they're making money and they sell. Those are the biggest things. And I'm telling you, that may sound like it's simple what I'm saying, but when people come in and they start looking at products, they look at my products and they're like, oh God, they're not sexy. I'm like, yes, I get excited about non-sexy things. The sexier a product, the more problems you're going to have. That right there, it sounds like a cool thing to say, but in actuality, it's very, very hard for people to avoid those products that are going to be a real big pain in the ass.
Yeah, I can definitely see that being a problem. I'm actually really glad that you brought that up. So on the flip side of that, and it sounds like you've had a lot of challenges, both personal and professional, since starting this business. But what would you say was the biggest challenge or setback that you had?
I got to say, it is definitely the Lyme disease because I can't think of anything bigger than that in my life. And I'm 43 now. Nothing was bigger than that. So the biggest setback is not actually being able to get on the computer, but having such clear organizational systems. And that's something I'll show, whoever wants to buy this business, I'll show them my organizational systems. I've got checklists, routing forms. They're to how to launch products, how to rank products. It's in step-by-step checklists. When I say checklist, my employee was able to follow my checklist and do what I did. And that's what I mean by most people think they're running a business and they are in fact not. If you can't step away for 30 days in your business, you're not running a business. You've got a job. And so this business is set up for someone else to run if you want. I didn't mind the 8 hours a week. So I don't have a full-time employee. Matter of fact, my full-time employee, she was like, Dr. Goldman, I'm literally working 4 hours a week now. And so I was like, yeah, we don't have any more work for you. The more we sold, the less work there was. And so that's kind of the setup now.
That's fascinating. So I just kind of want to circle back to when you were talking about going to China and, testing out these products, trying to find the right fit for you. Mm-hmm. Once you eventually settled on your suppliers and your product, have you done any product development with your suppliers?
Yeah, I went to Yiwu, China, which is something that I actually brought 7 people with me and I've trained people on. So if whoever buys the business, I can show them how to do this. But by product development, do you mean changing the product, making it better? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Kind of going along with that, I guess, like how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors?
Oh, that's so easy. I haven't had to do a lot of product development because I look at spaces. I look at what's on Amazon. I see what's already being sold. And what I love doing is, without giving it away, I love creating packages that aren't available. So I don't really need to do a lot of product development. It's your product research that's most important. So I will spend, hours or day. I used to, I don't do it anymore, but I'd spend days researching products. Whereas before I would actually just launch a product. And when you do enough research, you save yourself a lot of money. So we haven't done a lot of product development because we've learned how to combine products that makes a package. And how do I differentiate myself? It's so easy. Amazon, for some reason, I think it's a big downfall of Amazon. Amazon has a lot of foreign sellers, and particularly I can tell that a lot of them are Asian. And you can tell because the listing, the words don't make sense. Some of the words are backwards. The communication is horrible. So all you've got to do is make a really good listing, put in great communication, and we actually have great customer service. We actually have like I said, I don't really get any calls, but we put a Google Voice phone number, which goes right to a voicemail. Once every 3 months, someone might call that and just answer email. And people are blown away when they can get great customer service and read your listing. It's in English. I know that sounds sad, but that really actually differentiates you. And I think that's the thing with all businesses is the human touch differentiates you.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because that was another point that I wanted to touch upon is how are people finding your listings? Are you using Amazon PPC? Are your listings like SEO optimized? What have you done kind of in that area with your listings to drive traffic to them?
Good question. I'm glad you asked that. So when I first launched this, right, I've had this since 2017. Now it's 2022. It's crazy. I launched products for 2 years and I haven't launched one since then. So back when I did launch products, I used a Facebook deal site. I created an avatar of a person who is a deal finder. I built up the list of over almost 3,000 people of this avatar who finds deals. And I had him especially find my deals. So when I'd launch products, the avatar I created, would find my deals and I'd put them on there and people would buy them. That's how I launched this. Trust me, I tried Facebook ads. I did tens of thousands of dollars of Facebook ads. They did work. You'll see most of the products that I have. I've got 500, 600, 700, 1,000 reviews for a lot of my products. They're legitimate buys. I did all that. I now don't do any Facebook ads. No SEO. I found that Amazon's PPC platform is the most cost-effective thing you can do. So I have a system of ranking keywords via PPC. Many people do PPC to increase sales. I think it's a mistake because it's a never-ending game that everyone else is playing. I've noticed that PPC is best for ranking words to get organic buys. So once I have words ranked, I will actually, in fact, start turning down those PPC, and I go keyword by keyword. It was very tedious, but it keeps my PPC costs down low. As a matter of fact, you'll see if someone's looking at the listing, you'll see in February, my PPC costs went through the roof and I had way less profitability. And that was on purpose because from what we call the COVID bubble, last summer, people just were buying and buying and buying. And then people stopped buying. And so a lot of the keywords got shifted and weren't ranking as well. So you'll see in February, like I said, high PPC costs, but all of a sudden in March, now we've got higher organic sales. It's because I know what I'm doing in PPC. So only PPC ads, nothing else.
That is absolutely fascinating. So your PPC is optimized at this point. You're not doing a whole lot else as far as marketing goes. We had kind of touched upon, launching into Canada and Mexico, probably not the EU or possibly the EU, depending on the buyer. But what else do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
Yeah, I think, since we've got 18 products, can you imagine I would launch all 18 of these first in Mexico? The thing is, you don't need to go create any more new products. That's why that's such a cool thing. I've got incredible sourcing agents in China. They are awesome. They do everything for me. I mean, when I say everything, I send them on WeChat, I send them a message. Hey, I need 5,000 of these. I send them the money. They do everything. I think that's one of the reasons I still, like I said, I didn't want to do a lot of work on anything in this business. And I've met them 3 times. They know me personally. So whoever buys this business gets those contacts. They have an incredible relationship with the Chinese government and the US government. So I'm not going to give this away, but I have never had shipping problems. Like only recently when shipping containers have increased, people call me like, hey, how you deal with this problem? I do this problem. I'm just like, I don't. I'm saying all that because I wouldn't really develop new products. I'd take all 18 of these, just order more and send them to Mexico and then do another 18, and send those to Canada. So now you've just increased your products by 54 without having to find something new because it is incredibly time consuming to find new products. That is what I would do first. That would triple your income. So put you around, 24,000, 20,000 in profit per month. Then maybe I'd consider looking at new products, but still, I'm thinking with a mindset of freedom, not just money.
Well, I'm really glad that we've kind of touched a bit upon like your suppliers and the relationship that you have with them. I'm really curious, could you walk us through what your supply chain looks like right now?
Mm-hmm. I have 2 sourcing agents. They are connected with the Chinese government and almost all the factories in China. I send them a message on WeChat saying I need 5,000 units of this, 5,000 units of this, send a deposit. I've never talked to a factory. They deal with the factory. They tell me they're done. I send the rest of the money. They coordinate shipping. It shows up at the LA port. They coordinate shipping to my storage units. And that's it. It literally is that easy.
And so are you shipping primarily by air or by sea?
Only sea. Air is way too expensive and just cuts into profit. And I enjoy my profit.
I understand that. How long does it typically take you to replenish your inventory?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that. So I keep 3 months of inventory with each product at the Amazon warehouses, and I keep 6 months at my warehouses. That's how I know to order.
Okay. And you said, you talk to your suppliers through WeChat. So how often are you in communication with them? Because I do love that you have a personal relationship with them as well. I know you've met with them several times, but on average, how often are you in contact with them?
Only when I reorder products. Like I said, I met them in person 3 times. We've had dinner together. We've gone out to karaoke together. So they've become friends of mine. That's how the Chinese are when it comes in business. If you have rapport with them, they'll bend over backwards for you. But I order products twice a year. Most products take 30 days to develop, and then they can take 30 to 45 to ship. So I'll leave myself 60 to maybe sometimes 90 days to make sure that I can get these products in.
Well, now you've given us the key to relationships with Chinese suppliers, karaoke.
Yep, exactly. I have video to prove that.
I wanted to talk a bit about your inventory limits at Amazon. Have they been raised or lowered at all in the past 12 months?
I think raised. They've been raised quite a bit. I also have a very good rating on there, so I have no problems with it. But I think it was in fact raised.
That's excellent. So you were saying that you really try to provision for at least 3 months of inventory at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't had any stockouts in the last 12 months?
Certainly I've had that just because I've got systems, but sometimes things sell very fast and you can't figure out why. There are things on Amazon that I don't care who says they know how Amazon works. If they're lying, if they don't tell you, like, there's a lot of stuff we just don't understand.
Yeah, it's definitely that double-edged sword of success.
Mm-hmm.
It's great that it's sold, but then all of a sudden you have no inventory and...
Yeah. I just looked this up. I have a standard size storage. I don't have anything oversized storage. I have no apparel, no footwear, that kind of stuff, but it's all standard. I have a maximum inventory level of 25,000. And right now I keep about 5,000 units. So there's just way more than I would ever need. So this is the challenge. You've got to watch it every month. For example, November, December are my slowest months. And this is backwards for most people because they're selling, like I said, sexy products. So people buy sexy products for Christmas. I don't have sexy products, so they buy them from January to like September. So you might sell 2 units a day in December and all of a sudden go to 25 units a day. Well, that's what I'm doing on Monday, is watching that. This is something that's interesting. If you send in, let's just say I send in 500 units in October and all of a sudden my sales drop. Anyone who sells on Amazon knows this. October does something very, very fun and unique. Amazon charges quadruple the storage fees. And they don't tell you until after. So I keep my inventory levels very low in October because I know they don't sell as much then. Therefore, I mean, I learned this the hard way. You get charged a lot. And then in December, I start sending more units in because in January, those quadruple rates go back down.
That is really interesting. That's actually something that I did not know about.
Yeah.
We're talking about sort of like the stockouts that, you might have had, which is common with FBA sellers, especially over the past 2 years. Were there any steps that you took to make sure that that didn't happen or doesn't happen in the future?
The stockouts happened because of the recent shipping delays. Yeah, you guys have probably heard of it. You can look at a map of the LA port. There are ships just sitting there for months with our storage containers. That's why it happened. I don't think there's any way to bypass it, even with my amazing sourcing agents who have connections with the Chinese government. They were at a loss too. They were like, I mean, it just sat there for an extra 45 days. So there's just nothing we can do about that. But right now, I've noticed shipping prices have gone back down. And I think because of the COVID stuff being cleared up, I don't think we're going to have that problem this year.
You are the second person that I've heard say that about shipping prices going back down.
Mm-hmm.
So fingers crossed for all of our sellers. That is the case, that kind of this whole crisis is on a downtrend at this point. So I know that you said that at this point you're working 8 hours a week. So what does a typical week look like for you while you're running this business?
Yes, I have checklists and routing forms. I have a Monday checklist. I just follow my checklist. I can give you an idea, but I look at what was a win from the week before. I pull reports from Amazon, put them into a software, and I actually look to see how much I sold last week. I check the storage units, and I have got a very advanced Excel spreadsheet that shows me whether or not I should send products to Amazon or not, and when I've got to order for products from China. So I look at that every Monday morning. That takes me about an hour. And then I go through product by product and look to see if I'm profitable. And this is something that people are getting their asses handed to them and don't even know it. Just because you sell 100 units in a day does not mean you made money. And that's the sad part about it. So I actually go product by product and look at my percentage of profit. There is some times where I'll sell $1,000 of a product and I made $14. And like I said, people aren't looking at this, and Amazon doesn't want you to see it. They just want you to see, oh, you sold $1,000 of product. So that's what I, in fact, do, is go product by product, and I look for profitability. And so it's backwards of what most people would think. But if I'm not profitable, I then start looking, what do I need to change? What caused the profitability? Sometimes Amazon increased the fees, or they increased the size of my product accidentally. Sometimes ads will outspend themselves And so I will turn off keywords that are not profitable. So I can go through all kinds of stuff. That is what I do on Monday, is make sure that I'm profitable with each product. I will tell you, some products are less profitable on page 1 and more profitable on page 2. And this is something you will not see because everyone is playing the ranking, get to number 1 on page 1 game. And I'm telling you, it's a costly game that you'll get your ass handed to you. Not you particularly, but someone listen to this. So we don't play that game. We play the profit game, not the ranking game.
So, Cody, I'm curious what you think the biggest challenge would be for a buyer taking over this business.
Probably replicating my PPC strategy, which I, again, have documented because I have everything in checklists, but not that they couldn't follow it. But the biggest problem or challenge would be for them to not get caught up in the ranking game, because I did it for years and everyone does it. They're like, let me try to get to number 1. And you get to number 1 and you are 10% profitable. But in position 5 on the page, you're 20% profitable. You may sell less volume, but you actually made more money. So getting unattached from that will be the biggest challenge.
That's really interesting. And you've got all these processes in place ready to hand over to a buyer. But how much support are you offering buyers?
I've sold businesses before, so I know the game. I think, what's probably reasonable is at least giving someone 30 days, and I'll work with them even if it's daily to show them what I'm doing. They won't even really need that. And I'll definitely hand over my checklists or routing forms. I mean, that's going to be probably honestly bigger than just even talking to me. Because like I said, I had an employee run this business for a year and a half, just going off the checklist and documentation. So,
and are you willing to commit to a non-compete for a new owner?
Of course, for sure. That's logical.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. You even said, you're emotionally attached to what you've built. You don't want to see a tank.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts about, are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
I've sold business before, and I think at the cost of this business, probably earnout is not necessary. I think a full buyout is probably easy. It will be much easier for someone to do. There is a big, I will say I'm 90% wanting to do a buyout, 10% earnout, but it's very low. And I just want to say there's 2 reasons. One, not just for me, but I can tell you when someone's fully bought in and invested, they're much more successful versus having to just pay each month from the profit. I think that's the slow track in business. Typically, someone's trying to do it because of security. And so I think someone's much more successful just going all in. And of course, I'll help them, with whatever.
That's fair enough. I totally understand. And before we wrap up, if you're putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
I'm glad you asked that. I have many, many friends who are Amazon sellers. One of my friends created a profit software. And many of the softwares like Helium 10 and Managed by Statistics will say that they do this, but they do not. My friend is a genius when it comes to business and profit. He is who taught me. He's the reason that I don't have my ass handed to me and the reason I actually have a profitable business. He mentioned to me that most sellers have a 10% or less profitability. And that is sad. We had a 30% profitability in the service business in the chiropractic office. My coaching business owners, I've got a 60 to 75% profitability. 10% profitability makes me want to, vomit when I think about that. One of the biggest benefits of buying this business is it's already set up for freedom. Yes, you can sell $100,000 a month, but when you're only making a certain amount and you've got to spend a lot of time with customer service, you start realizing that, like I said, the time becomes to me more important than just the money. And so you'll also get the systems that I've learned from my friend who created a software, and you're going to get his software with it. And I'll show you how we actually evaluate products on profit, not just on sales volume or ranking. Matter of fact, I've stopped looking at sales volume and ranking and only look at profit. And it is such a mind shift. So they'll get that mindset, those strategies, and that's something you can apply to any product you want to launch on Amazon.
And is there anything else that you'd like to share about the business that we might not have covered?
I think we've probably covered this, but I'll probably just emphasize it is if someone's looking into this and they've sold on Amazon, they'll know what I'm talking about right now. If someone has never sold on Amazon and is looking at buying this business and wanting to have, almost a passive income, this business would be a good one to buy because you're going to get the trainings and the actual checklists I've watched people buy businesses and not know what they're doing and then tank it. And I really want to make sure that the new buyer, even if they don't have experience, they're able to be successful and have the documentation and trainings and not have to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars I've done to learn this. So I think that's the biggest thing and the biggest advantage there.
Well, I think that is the perfect note to leave off on. Cody, I really want to thank you for coming on and giving us a little more insight, not just into your business, but also into yourself. I have enjoyed this enormously, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here.
Well, that's awesome. Michelle, I got to say, I so appreciate you doing this. I think this is an amazing thing. I love the podcast, love the idea. This is, to me, what really sales and marketing should be like, is really getting to hear people, hearing their story, getting to know people. This is the best marketing that exists, and it's always going to be like that. So thank you for doing this. I
really appreciate that. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 59156. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.